Okay, so here we are at the part 6, which is financial data. This is the section that I get the most questions on because it can be very intimidating, not really knowing exactly how to complete this information. So let's get started. Number 1, select the option that best describes you to determine the years of revenues and expenses you need to provide. The majority of you will be this one. You completed less than 1 year, excuse me, 1 tax year. And you'll answer that question based on if the nonprofit has been in existence for less than 27 months. If it has been in existence for less than 27 months, this is the one you would select. And the majority of you would be this one because you're new. You're brand new. Now, if you completed at least 1 tax year but fewer than 5, there are other situations that go on with this, okay? But let's just go ahead and focus on this one again because I know that you're going to be new. And with that being said, it says provide a total of 3 years of financial information, including the current year and 2 future years of reasonable and good faith projections of your future finances in the following statement of revenues and expenses. Now, I want to show you what happens if you click this. If you click that, you see how it changes? If you say you completed at least 1 tax year, but fewer than 5, then it changes. It says provide a total of 4 years financial information, so on and so forth. You click that, then it says that you completed 5 or more tax years. Then it says provide financial information for your 5 most recent tax years. But in this case, you're new. The majority of my clients would be this one. I do have scenarios where they have been in existence for more than 27 months. Again, it could be a church that, they incorporated in their state. Could be 5 years ago. And if so, we address that accordingly. But let's go here. So, statement of revenues and expenses. This can be quite intimidating when you're looking at this because I want to tell you one thing. The fact that you are new and you have not really had a tax year, the IRS is okay with your providing guesstimations for these numbers. Now, the tricky thing about guesstimations are, yeah, they're guesstimates, but is something really ever a guesstimate when you're dealing with something this important? No. Yeah, you're kind of like, I'm going to show you some things, how you're going to do this, but and yes, the IRS is okay with guesstimations. However, your guesstimations should actually be based off of a nonprofit that is like the one that you're starting off of their numbers. And you can Google this and you can find information. A lot of them will have their budgets because, hey, transparency, right? So they'll have their annual report, um, you know, in your Google search and it'll come right up and you can kind of base your information off of their numbers. Now, keep in mind, those nonprofits have been in existence for a while, and so their numbers are going to be a lot bigger than someone like the nonprofit you're starting that is smaller. So you're going to adjust the numbers accordingly, and that's where guesstimations come from. Again, research is always important, always vital. You're guesstimating, but your guesstimations are based off of actual figures that you have researched. So I'm going to tell you this right now. Statement of revenues and expenses. You see all this? I definitely cannot go through this and just start putting in numbers. It just can't do it. In this case, we just need to do the current tax year, prior succeeding tax year 1, and prior succeeding tax year 2. That's what we need to do. We don't need to worry about these year 3 and year 4, and that is because it told us we don't have to, right? Provide a total of 3 years of financial information. But what I do to get this accurate get my research in and plug away, I actually create an Excel spreadsheet. Now I have one that I've created and I have formulas based on projections. So that's something you'll have to do, but that's what I do. So I'm going to take you to that form. I'm going to kind of show you how I come up with these numbers just different ways. So let's go there. So I'm going to show you a trick. Now, before Chat GPT and after, because I do it both ways. Before Chat GPT, I would do the literal research, and I still do that. But now I run researching an actual nonprofit that is like the one that I'm starting, or in this case, that, Pretty Paws Foundation would be starting. I actually research on my own, just Google search for a nonprofit that is like that one because I want to pull their numbers. I want to see what their numbers look like. Now, again, with Chat GPT, which pulls also from the internet, right? I actually go in and I give it some information so that I can see what numbers it comes up with, and I can compare it side by side to the actual budget of a nonprofit that I researched on my own. So ChatGPT does not sponsor me. I just want to say that it's just a platform that I use that I absolutely love. Do not be afraid of artificial intelligence. It's always been there. Anytime you go into Google and you do a search, hey, it's pulling. That's AI, right? So just use it for your benefit. Do not ever use it word for word. You definitely want to go in and look at what it's saying because it may not reflect everything you need it to say. It's really good, but you want this to be of your own. So it's great for a resource, just like in Google search, but just treat it accordingly. So in this case, what I want to ask ChatGPT to do, just to kind of help me out, because again, we're working with these numbers. So I am going to say, what type of revenue and expenses should a nonprofit with this mission and vision expect to incur within their first tax year, and show average dollar amounts? Now, I stop right there. I'm just going to put a colon. I don't even think it's necessary. I just do it. So what I'm going to do is copy the mission statement of Pretty Paws Foundation in right here, the mission and vision, and it'll be fine with just the mission statement as well. But I'm going to copy that in there because I want to see what it comes up with. So I go here, I just copy and paste that. Again, see, what type of revenue and expenses should a nonprofit with this mission and vision expect to incur within their first tax year, and show average dollar amounts? And then there we go. This is the mission statement that I made up for the Pretty Paws Foundation. Remember, the mission is to subsidize grooming and veterinary costs, excuse me, for inner city pet owners with limited income, while educating the owner on proper animal care and nutrition to avert disease and sickness. And I put, our vision is to ensure that all animals belonging to limited income individuals are afforded high quality veterinary care and grooming services with the dignity and respect they deserve. You don't even have to put a period or anything, but I will. And just hit enter and let's see what comes up. So I'm asking ChatGPT to give me a budget, some revenue and expense numbers. So see, I love it. What it's telling you, it says for a nonprofit like Pretty Paws Foundation Inc., which focuses on subsidizing grooming and veterinary costs for pet owners with limited income. Excuse me, I don't know what in the world I'm doing. Here's an overview of the types of revenue and expenses it might expect to incur in its first tax year. along with some estimated dollar amounts. Now, that overview, they're pulling that from Google. ChatGPT is not just some random whatever that's coming up with this information itself. It is actually pulling it from the internet, from my understanding. You all, if you know something different, let me know, but that is my understanding. So, see here, it's giving me what I need: revenue, donations, individual contributions. It's telling me that the average amount is 10,000, between 10,000 and 50,000 for individual contributions, any corporate sponsorships. And again, this is in the first year. It's giving me that. Average amount as far as fundraising, it's giving me all of this. Grants, you get it. In-kind donations, these are really good numbers for a smaller nonprofit that's just starting out with the mission statement of Pretty Paws Foundation, because I'm going to show you where the numbers are really, really huge from an actual nonprofit that does pretty much the same thing, and the numbers are really big. And so, even at that, see, subsidies for veterinary care, the average amount is 20 to 60,000. So it's going on and so on and so forth. Now, I may need it to add some things, but I'm going to show you something here. So here we go. Total expected revenue can be between 30,000 and 125,000. So if I did not like these numbers and say I wanted them to be even smaller, because I felt like, no, those still a little, that average is still a little too big for a new nonprofit in their first year. Keep in mind, you're not just doing the numbers for the first year, though. You're doing projections for the second and the third year. And so I would go with this. Again, I'm going to run this alongside an actual nonprofit that is like the one where I actually was able to pull their budget, and I'll show you the difference here. But if I wanted those numbers to be even smaller, all you have to do with chat is say, um, let's see, make those numbers uh, better or smaller for a new nonprofit. Let's just see what happens. So see what it does? See how those numbers got smaller? They're more realistic to someone that's just starting out in their first year. So see, it says for a new nonprofit like Pretty Paws Foundation Inc., which is just starting out, the revenue and expenses would likely be more modest. Here's a revised estimate. And now there we go. It's giving us some smaller numbers that we can pretty much feel confident in running those with that first year in the statement of revenues and expenses. But I go further because, again, this is chat. I want to see an actual nonprofit's budget that is like Pretty Paws Foundation or similar to. I want to see what their numbers are, what they're working with. So, with that being said, I'm going to leave these numbers up. I am going to run them alongside. Let me go back up to the larger numbers. Excuse me for going faster. I'm going to run these numbers alongside a nonprofit that I found that is like Pretty Paws Foundation when I did a Google search. So I found a foundation that operates pretty much like Pretty Paws Foundation, and that is the Farley Foundation. This is a real foundation. I did a Google search to kind of see what they do and if I could look at their budget and see, what their numbers look like. Now, you'll see that the Farley Foundation, it says, assists those who are struggling financially to pay for veterinary care for their pets. And that's pretty much the same thing that the made up foundation that I came up with, Pretty Paws Foundation, does. So I thought this would be a pretty good match. The only thing is, the Farley Foundation has been in existence since 2002. So right there, it tells me I really won't be able to compare their numbers because theirs will be astronomical compared to a new nonprofit. But let's take a look anyway. So I have it pulled up, and this is a snapshot of their financial statements, and this is for 2023. 2022 goes back to 2021. Now, you'll see, let's just kind of look at their numbers. Now, look at those donations. Because of the type of nonprofit it is, um, their numbers are really, really good. They're getting a lot of funds in donations because it's a really good cause. But with a new nonprofit, it'd be great if you'd get $684,000 in that first year, but that will most probably not happen. I'm not saying it won't, but most probably it will not. So I'm looking at these numbers. I know I really can't pull from these numbers at all. See the program costs, 828,000, administrative costs, 142,000. So if I click back over to Chat GPT, where I had it pull the average figures for me for the year of what a nonprofit, a smaller nonprofit would be, one just starting out. As you can see, let's just take a look at, let's see, I was looking at administrative expenses. So administrative expenses, the average amount for a new nonprofit with this mission. So let's say Pretty Paws Foundation would be 15,000, between 15,000 and $50,000 for administrative fees. The Farley Foundation, however, because again, they're larger, they've been in existence since 2002, their administrative cost is $142,773. So in this case, I'd rather kind of go with Chat GPT because I like these numbers better. It's going to be more realistic for a new nonprofit. Again, remember that it pulls from the internet. You could spend all day long trying to search these budgets out if you want, but I urge you to get Chat GPT. They do have a free account. Again, they do not sponsor me, but they do have a free account that you can create, and then you can plug these information in just like I showed you, and it'll help you tremendously. But again, do not use it solely. Always do your search. Again, as you can see, I took the time to actually search for a real nonprofit that does the same thing and was able to, as Pretty Paws Foundation, and was able to look at their finances. And if nothing else, this tells me this is a great nonprofit to have because the numbers are really good. Um, Looking here at 2021, of course, their donations were larger in 2021. Then, of course, COVID and so on and so forth. Those numbers kind of fell off a little, but they were still looking pretty good. So definitely do your homework on that and run it alongside your Google search, alongside ChatGPT, and see if those numbers make sense. Again, being that this is a new nonprofit, we're going to go with these numbers because they are averages and they make more sense for a smaller nonprofit. So, with that being said, let me go ahead and let you take a look at my statement of revenues form, which is an Excel spreadsheet that I use. And we're going to take a look at that and see how we work that into the financial data section. So we are going to stop right there. And in the next video, we will continue with completing the statement of revenues and expenses. And we will dive into plugging those numbers into Form 1023. I don't want the video to go too long, and this is kind of overload. I don't want it to be, I don't want you to burn out. So let's pick up in the next video.